Good day to one and all. I am Dr. Shashikala, Bangalore City University. I would be talking on the topic of regionalism, introduction to the concept. We see that generally a region can be generally defined as a homogeneous area with physical and cultural characteristics which is distinct from those of the neighboring area. Here we see a region which is usually characterized by a widely shared sense of togetherness among the people. This togetherness results from a wide variety of sources. It can be geographical, religion, language, customs, modes, etc. And it leads to a certain types of regional identity. It results in loyalty towards the region and ultimately it takes the shape of regionalism. So we'll talk about exactly what is regionalism. We see that it is one of the greatest challenge to the national integration of India. It refers to the assertion of distinct ethnic, linguistic or economic interest by various groups within the nation. So let's come on to the definition. One such definition of W.P. Scott, which says that regionalism is an approach to study the behavior that emphasizes the geographical region as the unit of analysis. It stresses on the relation between man and the immediate physical environment. The economic, socio-cultural organization are analyzed in terms of their interrelation function with the geographical region. So here we see that regionalism, maybe many scholars have defined in their different perspective. The feeling of regionalism may arise either due to continuous neglect of a particular area or a region by the ruling authority, or it may spring up as a result of increasing political awareness. Let's come to the characteristic features of regionalism. We have various characteristics which stresses on the loyalty to the region. It talks about the economic, socio-political and cultural disparity, the psychic phenomena. Regionalism also presupposes the concept of development of one's own region without taking consideration with the interest of the other region. It also stresses on the prohibit people from other region to be benefited by a particular region. Let's stress on the causes of regionalism. There are various causes of regionalism which can be seen here. First of all, we stress on the efforts of national government to impose a particular ideology, language or cultural pattern of all the people or the group and compel the regionalism movement to crop up. At the same effect, the state of the South began to resist the imposition of Hindu as an official language and they feared that it would dominate the North. So we see that there is a emulating the same in Assam region also. Secondly, we see that almost all the states have spawned a military native movement against the outsiders. The fundamental issue what we see here is the employment for the local people, and many state government either officially or unofficially have supported the protection of job for the sons of the soil. For example, we can refer the Shiv Sena in Maharashtra. Then we see the other causes of regionalism. There is continuous neglect of an area or a region by a particular parties. The desire for regional elites to capture the power has led to regionalism. Then we see the desire of various units of Indian federal system to maintain their own subculture. The interaction between the forces of modernization and mass participation has also paved the way for regionalism in India. Next, we'll concentrate on the forms of regionalism in India. First one, we talk about the regionalism, which is the first and the foremost legitimate kind of regionalism, is demand for a separate space or state of one's own. They want to have their own identity or either the Union of India. Like we can also refer the Telugu speaking residents in the Madras presidency. The form of protest involved were attack of state property, hunger strike, and so on. So they wanted to create a state of Andhra Pradesh and later redrawing the map of India on linguistic lines. So this is the first one. Next we talk about parochialism, which is another form of regionalism, has been termed as parochialism, which is evident in the form or pretensions of the Bengalis. They claim that their literature, music, dress, which is superior to others in India. However, we see that it takes the form of bloodshed, as evident in the attack of Bihar labor by the Alpha Cadrate, in which the belief rests that the only Assam speakers have the right to live in Assam. These kinds of bloodsheds were committed by Shiv Sena, so etc. We see that there are many more examples which has led for the parochialism. Next we see the successions from the Indian Union, which can be classified as the most violent and dangerous form because it is based on desire, hope, or fantasy. To divide the Republic of India to form a separate nation of one's own. So we see that these form of religionism evolved with A to Z, like we see from the Naga National Council. So in similar way, militant in Kashmir can also be said to follow this form of regionalism, as they are persistently committing bloodbath in the pursuit of their dreams of a separate state. So there are various, in fact, even we see the Dravidian movement for many years has demanded for a separate nation out of India, which failed. Next, there are many more examples which we can also refer to: the DMK in Tamil Nadu, the Akali Dal in the Punjab. Next, we talk about the interstate disputes, which is another form of regionalism. In India has found the expression in form of interstate disputes. These disputes between Chandigarh, between Punjab and Haryana, the boundary disputes which keeps on happening. The same we see in Maharashtra and Karnataka near the Belgaum, where there is always an interstate dispute which is keep happening. Next, we talk about the types of regionalism. There are three main types of regionalism which can be conceived on the basis of suprastate regionalism, interstate regionalism, intrastate regionalism. So let's talk on the first one, the suprastate regionalism. It implies that more than one state is involved in the issue of regionalism. It is an expression of group identity of several states. They take a common stand on the issue of mutual interest. So these group identify are usually in relation to a certain specific issue. So it does not in any way, it implies the total and the permanent merger of the state identity of the state or identity of a group. So we see the northeastern state in India, which may be said to have possessed the supra-state regionalism. Next, we'll concentrate on interstate regionalism, which is a continuous, we see about the provincial territories. There is continuous overlapping of identity. Then we talk about the intrastate regionalism, which is another type of regionalism wherein a part of the state strive for self-identity and self-development, and therefore it is taken in a positive sense. Next, we talk on the clashes in India having colors of regionalism. Various concepts, like first of all we talk on the linguistic reorganization of state to demand it was from the freedom fighters also and the followers of Mahatma Gandhi ji that led to the creation of Andhra Pradesh state and linguistic recognition of the states in India. Next, we see the demand for Dravida Naidu. Going back to the journey of regionalism in India, it is well noticed that it has emerged with the Dravidian movement, which started in Tamil Nadu in 1925. The movement was known as a self-respect movement, which focused on empowering the Dalits. Next, we had the Telangana movement. In the year after the formation of Andhra Pradesh state, the Telangana expressed dissatisfaction on the agreement and guarantees were implemented. So, there was discontent with the 1956 Gentlemen's Agreement intensified in Jan 1969. Then we go on to talk about Shiva Sena against the Kannadigas. In 1966, the Shiva Sena in Maharashtra launched an agitation against Kannadigas in the name of Maratha pride. Their first target of its agitation were South Indians, who were the workers of Udupi Hotel in Mumbai. This agitation was labeled to be as a retaliation of the Lati charge on Marathi-speaking people in the border area. Then we have the Bodoland demand with the Assam in demanding a separate state. The Khalistan movement in the era of 1980s, which aimed to create a Sikh homeland called the Khalistan. The attack on Bihar border by the Alpha United Liberation Front of Assam, which continues to attempt an attack on the government security forces. In 2003, the Alpha were accused of killing laborers from Bihar in response to molestation and raping of many Assamese girls in the train. This incident has sparked the anti-Bihar sentiments in Assam, which has withered away in a month, although October 15, 2004, we see there is an explosion which occurred in Assam, where more than 10 to 15 people died, including school children. They say that it was carried by the Alphas. So they have an oblique of accepted responsibility for the blast. Then we talk about the MNS targeting the North Indians, which was in 2008, the Maharashtra Navnirman Sena. These workers began their violent agitation against North Indians. Next, we talk about measures to combat regionalism. We have various, like regionalism has been imparted as an important aspect of Indian politics. Hence, we see that various steps were taken and some measures to be followed. First of all, we see to promote even development of an hitherto neglected area so that they feel a part of the national mainstream. The central government must not interfere in the affairs of the state unless it is unavoidable. Problem of the people must be solved in a peaceful and constitutional manner. Except for the issue of national importance, the state should be given importance or freedom to run their own affairs. Any changes in the central and state relation in favor of the state, they should be introduced, and a national education that would help to overcome the rational feeling and develop an attachment towards the nation. In conclusion, we see that regionalism in various parts of the country has emerged as a serious problem, and it is literally threatening to divide the country. The creation of new states like the Jharkhand, Uttaranchal, Chhattisgarh in the recent time is an expression of territorial regionalism. We see that the natural desire of the people in a region or territory to make rapid social and economic development so that they live happily. But in course of time, when some part of region make rapid development, the other parts are neglected. Thus, the need of the hour is to develop a realistic perception of regionalism at the conceptual level, focusing on righteousness and Judaism outlook on the part of the political party. If this objective is achieved, then the realization of the idea of different communities speaking diverse language and each linked with a particular cultural expression, thinking globally, acting globally, and seeing human unity in diversity in a particular term would be a distinct possible. Thank you one and all.